Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here and today is a wonderful day. You might not think this is exciting, but I definitely do. Those of you who have watched a lot of my videos or have followed me on Instagram for a long time will know the significance of this. ColourPop sent me these palettes. How awesome is that? I've been a long-time ColourPop supporter. I've purchased tons of their products. I review them, photograph them, swatch them all the time. One of my favorite brands, you know this. I got a whole ColourPop playlist. In fact, go check that out after you watch this video. So for ColourPop to reach out to me and want to send me product was really, really exciting. Not because I want free stuff, and don't even get me started on that. PR is not free, trust me. But just to be recognized by a brand that I really love and I've really supported, it's a good, really, really good feeling. So I'm not gonna like get all sappy and cry or anything. I already did that when I got their email. But I know a lot of you guys watch me for my ColourPop videos and I just wanted to be able to share this excitement with you. They sent me the Soul and Mar palettes. They also sent me the Fame and Fortune palettes, and I had already purchased a Fortune palette, so now I have an extra one. So I will be doing a giveaway on Instagram with the Fortune palette that I purchased. Make sure you go and follow me on Instagram, shameless plug. So thank you for letting me share this excitement with you, and just thank you for this opportunity, because if you guys weren't watching me, if you weren't subscribing and clicking like on my videos, then ColourPop would have no reason to want to work with me. So it's really cool, it feels great, and thank you for all your love and support. You guys are awesome. Okay, enough of that, let's get to the palettes. I'm gonna be swatching both palettes for you. I also have a quick eye look with each one of these palettes. So I'm gonna give you just a little bit of general product info and then we will dive into each one. The Soul and Mar palettes are a part of their summer release. They are currently available on the ColourPop website. Each palette is priced at $12. The outer carton is just the regular lightweight cardboard. I love the colors and the really bold graphic print, and then the outer cartons have the shade names printed on the back as well. The palettes themselves have a very similar sort of font on the front and this very cute artwork. These palettes are a white heavy-duty plastic. Get a little ASMR in there for you. And then the printing on the front is a shiny metallic blue for the Mar palette, orange for the Soul. And on the back you'll find a sticker with the shade names here. The shades are not printed inside. You know how I feel about that. There is a very nice size mirror in here, and the mirror will stay standing up. That is one feature I really enjoy for a palette that I'm gonna travel with, because I can set this up on the counter, the vanity, or wherever I'm doing my makeup. And I do find that this is very useful to not have to prop up the mirror. Each one of these palettes has 9 eyeshadow shades inside. You get 3 mattes in the Mar palette and you get 4 mattes in the Soul palette. Before I get into the swatches of each palette, I do want to go ahead and just put one of my biggest complaints about these palettes out there first and foremost. These swatches are 3 shades from each palette, and I think they are so close. Each one of these palettes has a pale shimmery yellowy gold, a shimmery orangey bronze kind of color, and then a metallic rose gold copper kind of color. I wouldn't go as far as to say these are the exact same shade or these are exact dupes, but they're just really, really close. Like really close. This is El Rey from the Mar palette, and this is B&B from the Soul palette. You can see they're not exactly the same, but they're just, in certain lights, they just look really, really similar. I think head on, I mean, these look really similar. This one has a little bit of like a pink shift to it, but once they're on the eyes, man, these just look so close. This orangey bronze is from the Mar palette. It's called Wild One. And this is from the Soul palette. This is called Hotel. Again, not exactly the same. The shift might be a little different, but these really, guys, they really look the same. And lastly, we have these coppery rose gold type of shades This one's from the Mar palette, it's called My Way. This one from the Soul palette is called Anthem. As you can see, they're just really close. Those three shades being so similar, it's not really a deal breaker for me. I just wish there was a little bit more variation in there, because I do feel that these palettes go really well together as a set. I don't like the feeling of having so many repeated shades in here. When you look at each palette individually, those goldy, bronzy shimmers do really complement the overall color scheme. If it was up to me, I would put a really cool mustard yellow, whether it was matte or shimmer. I think it would look great in this palette. In this one, maybe I would have gone with a matte green, since we have a matte blue and a shimmer green and a shimmer blue. We could have done with one more green or blue shade in here, or maybe even a purple or something. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I just wish there was a little bit more variation in those bronzy gold colors. Now we're going to jump into the swatches. I'm going to be swatching the Mar palette first. I'm going to do both finger and brush swatches. The shadows will be applied to the back of my hand with no primer. For my brush swatches, I'll be using my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush, and I will clean off in between each shade using my Veramona color switch. Here is the first half of the swatches for the Mar palette. We have El Rey, Wild One, this insane blue matte shade called Detour, Boozy, and Gridlock, which is such a gorgeous shade. Love both of these. I was never a blue eyeshadow lover, and look at me now. The brush swatches are incredibly impressive here too. I mean, look at that matte. This is the kind of color that can go really wrong really quickly, and it just swatches like a dream. These are the remaining shades from the Mar palette. This matte has to be one of the smoothest, most beautiful matte shades ever. I love this for the crease. This one's called Sorbet. This mermaid dream of a green shimmer is called Highway. Then we have Top Down. It's the last matte from the palette. This shade is really nice in this palette. It's a cool toned purplish dark brown. Really rounds out the palette here. With all the warm shades going on, this really grounds the palette. I just think this is a really smart choice. And lastly, a nice coppery bronze called My Way. This Mar palette swatches beautifully, it performs beautifully. The two colorful shimmer shades, so the green and the blue, really benefit from being applied either with a finger or with a damp brush. I'm not at all upset about that. I think they are gorgeous colors. And if you're just looking for a little wash of color, you can add those shades with a dry brush, even pair them with the golds and bronzes. You're gonna see me do something similar to that right now. Let's jump into the tutorial using this Mar palette. I am obsessed with this look, so let's get to the tutorial. I'm starting with priming my eyes with my all-time favorite eye base. It's the MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly. Then I just set that eye base with a little bit of my MAC Studio Water Weight Pressed Powder for a nice smooth surface. And it's time to dip into the Mar palette using the shade Sorbet first. I'm working that into the crease, and I'm not being too precise because I am going to do a lot of layering with colors with this look. And I also took Sorbet right along my lower lash line to bring some balance to this look. Now I'm going to take the dark matte brown called Top Down and work that right along the outer corner of my eye. Then layering on top of that shade, I'm using Wild One, just blending in with my finger. Then using the same method, I'm going to take El Rey, the lighter gold, and pack that on the inner part of my eye. Now we're going to have some fun with color. I'm mixing Highway and Gridlock and tapping that with my finger right in the center of my lid, really taking my time to build up the color and make sure that it's really blended into those bronze shades. Then I just took a tiny bit of Sorbet to blend everything together, curled my lashes, and added some L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara. I completed my look with the Ultra Blotted Lip in the shade Vitamin C. I am in love with this Mar palette look. Now that you've seen the Mar palette in action, let's get to some swatches of the Soul palette. Same thing here. I'll be doing finger swatches on top and brush swatches below, and then I'll do the tutorial after the swatches. Here's the first round of swatches from the Soul palette. We're seeing a matte shade here. This one's New Digs, a shimmery rose gold called Anthem, matte medium orange called Dynamite. This one is Hotel. And lastly here, this insanely intense reddish magenta pink is called Motel. This one is so bright. It's crazy. Look at the finger swatch. I mean, here is the last round of swatches from the Soul palette. We have 2 shimmers and 2 mattes. This gold is B&B. Gorgeous shimmering orange is called Floaties. This coral shade is insane. Look how pigmented this is. This one's called 0000000. Ooh. I don't know what to call it. I don't want to call it ooh because that reminds me of the Shayla lipstick. So 0000000, who knows? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And a warm matte brown called Unwind. Look at this. Look at this. Are you looking? I don't think my wig's ever flown off before, but it's tipsy right now. It's about to fly off. I definitely want to mention to you guys, 3 of the shades in here have a not eye safe warning. It's the 3 bright shades that will contain red pigments. So this one in the middle, the coral, and then the shimmery orange down here in the corner. Eyeshadows that contain certain red pigments have to have a warning on them that say they aren't safe for the immediate eye area. That's because these red pigments can stain the skin. Now, as you can see, I just swatched all these shades on my hand and there's no staining here. They cleaned up very nicely. My fingers do have a bit of a stain on them, but I was digging them into those shades. So personally, I have used many red eyeshadows that have this warning. I always use my MAC paint pot as an eye base, so I think this acts as a bit of a barrier between my actual skin and the shadow. I've never had any issues with staining or irritation or anything like that, but I really want to make you guys aware of that in case you do have sensitive skin, or if you might be a hypochondriac. You probably want to know about this. I don't think it's a big deal, but just take it for what you will. Now let's go ahead and get into the tutorial with the Soul palette. I'll show you how I got this eye look that I'm wearing right now, and then I'll wrap up all my thoughts on these palettes at the end. I'm gonna start off by prepping my lids the same way I always do, first with the MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly, then just setting that base down with my MAC Studio Water Weight Pressed Powder. We're gonna go into the Soul palette. We're gonna start with New Digs and Dynamite mixed together, worked into the crease. It's a really soft peachy orange crease color. Then I'm going to mix Hotel and Unwind. I started off trying to apply this with a brush, but I found that if I applied this with my finger first and then blended it out with a brush, I got a much brighter, bolder result more quickly. For the rest of my lid, I'm gonna use the shade B&B, and I just applied that with my finger, tapped it onto the inner half of my lid, and then blended it into those orange shades. Now, I wanted to add this shade 000 to the crease, and I realized why it's named what it is, because every time I apply it, I make this face right here. I touched up my outer corner shades a little bit, and then I just used a clean synthetic brush to make sure everything was really nicely blended together. Lastly, for the lower lash line, I used a combination of Dynamite and Unwind. Then, of course, curled my lashes, added some of my favorite L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara. And for my finished look with the Soul palette, I'm wearing Tiptoe and the Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Moonchild. I already brought up my little gripe about the similar shades in these two palettes at the very beginning, so I'm not gonna harp on that again. I will say that the shadow quality in here is so good. It's so good. I don't know how ColourPop does these pressed shadows at the price that they do, with the packaging that they do. The quality is incredible. The mattes and the shimmers both performed really well for me. I've been wearing this eye look from the Soul palette for several hours. The eye look from the Mar palette I actually filmed yesterday, and I wore that all day yesterday. The shadows remained really bright and vibrant on my lids. I cannot sing the praises of ColourPop loudly enough. Quality wise, they cannot be beat for this price. It's no secret, I live for an orange eyeshadow. I love a warm tone palette. I think the Soul palette is done really well. There's a nice balance between what are actually warm neutrals and what are warm, bright, colorful shades. These are so bright. I was blown away by this coral shade when I applied it to my eyes today. I like that you can get both here. You could get a more toned down warm look or a really vibrant look. So I'm definitely a fan of the Soul palette, but if I had to choose just one, I would choose the Mar palette. I feel like I'm getting the best of both worlds here because you could just leave out the blues and green shade and you could definitely do a couple different just warm neutral looks with this palette. But the 3 colorful shades that they put in here are so pretty. They're so different from other things I have in my collection. I'm excited by this palette. I'm inspired by these colors. I do wish there was at least one more blue or green shade in here, even like a iridescent or a duochrome. But overall, the Mar palette is my favorite of the two. Even though I like them both, I just like the Mar palette a little bit more. Plus, I have the ColourPop Yes Please palette. Fun fact, that was their first pressed powder eyeshadow palette that they ever released. So I feel like I could get a similar look from the Yes Please as with this Soul palette. So I like this, but since I have Yes Please, I just think Mar is a little bit more special in my collection. Packaging wise, I'm sort of in the middle. I like the size. I like the fact that it's sturdy. I like the fact that it comes with this great mirror. I just think that the cardboard packaging tends to be a little bit cuter. I like cute packaging. I mean, this is cute and I appreciate that it's great for travel because it's sturdy. You can wipe it clean because it's plastic. I'm all for that. So just sort of middle of the road. I still prefer the fold over cardboard packaging, but this is nice. I would love to know your thoughts on these palettes. Are you more of a Soul, more of a Mar? Do you need both in your life? No judgment here, girl. I also want to mention that when ColourPop sent these palettes along to me, they gave me a code for you guys to get $5 off. I'm gonna put it on the screen right here. It's just Amanda5. This is not an affiliate code. ColourPop is not gonna give me any money if you use this code. It's just for you to save $5. It's a minimum $10 purchase to use that code. So use it, don't use it, either way. I'm not getting paid from it. I just want to give it to you. As always, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Good enough. Good enough. Oh, she's a charmer. Never mind. Just never mind. Forget I said anything. I need to drink more water. It's so freaking hot outside. And my camera's gonna die and I'm gonna run out of memory card space. Wow, killing the game. Stay on my game, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't know what to do with myself. And you thought this was overkill. No, it is. I know that. I'm not ashamed. Bye. Gotta go, bye.